Hello and welcome back to Boxing Buzz Unleashed. Sorry for my inactivity, I've just been caught up with so much schoolwork, but for now I'm just going to do prediction videos because we have so many great upcoming fights. So I'll just try and get prediction videos for all those fights, and maybe I'll try and force out a Emmanuel Navarrete versus Denis Beranchyk prediction tomorrow. But let's just start off with the upcoming fight card and one of the most historic fights in boxing today, between Oleksandr Usyk and Tyson Fury for the undisputed heavyweight title. So I'll just be breaking down the main card and giving my predictions at who wins. So we'll start out with the opener in the main card being Daniel Lepin and Octavio Povettier for the WBA Intercontinental Light Heavyweight title. Daniel Lepin is a Ukrainian light heavyweight, only having 9 wins, 3 of them coming by way of knockout, with no losses and no draws. He has a similar fighting style to Oleksandr Usyk, using foot feints, foot movement, and pivots to deal with his opponents, as well as fighting out the southpaw stance. But in my opinion, he still has a long way to go if he wants to match Oleksandr Usyk's pressure and the pace he sets the fights, as he's not as speedy as Usyk is. But I still see a high potential ceiling for him due to the fact that he still shows great skill with the little amount of fights he has been in. Moving on to his opponent, Octavio, who's a Mozambique light heavyweight boxer, having 9 wins, 4 coming by way of knockout, 1 loss and 0 draws. He has an aggressive fighting style, as I've seen from his footage I've been able to uncover from the internet. He fights on the inside and shows good discipline at keeping his hands up. But overall, I still see this as an easy bout for Daniel Lepin, as I see his skill ceilings are a lot higher than other light heavyweight prospects that I've been able to glance. And I still see him being able to reach the apex of the divisions and possibly gain a title if either Dimitri Bivol or Atabetobiev were to lead the division. But anyways, I see a 12-round unanimous decision win for Daniel Lepin. Moving on to my more anticipated bout in the fight card, Frank Sanchez versus Agit Kabayel. Frank Sanchez is a Cuban heavyweight, having 24 wins, 17 coming by way of knockout, 0 losses and 0 draws. From what I've seen, he knows how to box and fight on the inside pretty well, and from what I've seen in his past fight with Junior Fa, he has great explosivity, as he's able to just come out the gate and just knock out his opponents with ease. So I see him being a real contender in this division and possibly a future champion once either Usyk or Tyson Fury retire. And overall, I still see him as a high-skilled boxer who will give a tough challenge to anyone in the current division, maybe even the top 5. So now we move on to his opponent, Agit Kabayel. Agit Kabayel has 24 wins, 16 coming by way of knockout, 0 losses and 0 draws, coming off a breakout performance over Aslanbek Makhmudov, where he was able to beat the Russian fighter easily and shock the world, as he was able to finish him with body shots and dropping him 3 times in the bout. So he's riding high on that win, and I still see him as a really good top contender and possibly a tough challenge for even the bottom top 10. But I see here that he works too slow, and he was even able to get hit by Makhmudov, who has slow punching speed. So I feel like Frank Sanchez will give him a tough bout, but the early rounds will still easily lead forward towards Agit Kabayel, because Frank Sanchez takes too long to start up, and once he starts up, it's really difficult for people to stop him. So I see a 8th round TKO or knockout win for Frank Sanchez. Now we move on to the next fight on the card, that being Mark Chamberlain versus Joshua Wahib. Mark Chamberlain is a British lightweight, having 15 wins, 11 coming by way of knockout, 0 losses and 0 draws. He has a high activity fighting style and is able to throw punches and bunches and overwhelm his opponent with overall volume and accurate punch selection. This fight is for the WBC Silver Lightweight title, and as seen that Ring Ratings had put him as the 10th best lightweight in the world, this could probably boost him further to reach number 9 or 8. Now we move on to his opponent, Joshua Wahib, who I struggled to find information on, but from what I've seen here, he's a Nigerian super featherweight who has been inactive and had last fought in 2023, so this would be a year out of his last bout where he won the WBO Africa Super Featherweight title via 11th round TKO. But this fight I don't see him winning, because despite of the little footage I have seen, he's a very aggressive fighter, doesn't really have that much defense to go alongside it, and it would look like to struggle with Mark Chamberlain's overall pressure that he sets in that ring. So overall, I see this as an easy victory for Mark Chamberlain, possibly getting a 5th to 6th round stoppage due to the amount of pressure he places on his opponents and forcing the ref to step in. So anyways, I see this as a tough bout for Joshua Heap to even survive, as this is not even his first time debuting as a lightweight, as he started as a super featherweight. So hopefully this fight actually shows something special from Mark Chamberlain and not just a pure domination that will make us feel like we wasted our time. So now we move on to the next fight in this card, which is Sergey Kovalev versus Robin Safar. Sergey Kovalev has 35 wins, 29 coming by way of knockout, 4 losses and 1 draw. He has beaten great names such as Anthony Yarde, Eleider Alvarez, John Pascal, Bernard Hopkins and Nathan Cleverly, and has gone on to also fought these such great fighters such as Andre Ward and Saul Canelo Alvarez. Sergey Kovalev is a boxer puncher who looks to use his jab to set you up for a big shot. His last fight was in 2022 against Pavel Pulev in the cruiserweight division. We clearly see that he's not the same crusher of old, but hopefully he can still win this fight and probably retire on a win and not go on a nasty losing streak. But overall, Sergey Kovalev is still slowed down due to age and all these other factors accompanied along him, but he still holds his great jab and excellent power. Now moving on to his opponent, Robin Safar. Robin Safar is a Sweden cruiserweight, having 16 wins, 12 coming by way of knockout. He has not done anything impressive so far, but just a typical amateur boxer with good fundamentals and good skills. I've seen he has good inside game and all these other skills that can make him a truly elite fighter, maybe top 15 material. But so far, there's nothing that really impresses me about him, and I still think even this old version of Sergey Kovalev can give him a lot of problems. So my prediction for this fight is a 12-round unanimous decision win for Sergey Kovalev if nothing goes wrong. But if Robin Safar were to beat Sergey Kovalev, it would be a decent win on his record, but he would have to also step up in competition facing guys for the EBU, Commonwealth and all those other European titles. Now we move on to our first major title fight between Joe Cordina, the IBF super featherweight champion, and Anthony Kakase, the IBO super featherweight champion. Joe Cordina has 17 wins, 9 coming by way of knockout, 0 losses and 0 draws. He's the current reigning IBF super featherweight champion, beating names such as Edward Vasquez, Shavkatsan Rakhmonov and Kenichi Ogawa. He was unrivalably stripped of his title after beating Ogawa, but has gone on to reclaim his title against Rakhmonov, where he would go on to have a shaky performance against Vasquez, winning a majority decision. But in this fight, I still see him putting on a good performance using his great boxing skills, inside fighting game, defense, and punch selection to pick apart Anthony Kakase. But we had to break him down first. So now we move on to Anthony Kakase, who is the reigning IBO super featherweight champion with 21 wins, 7 coming by way of knockout, 1 loss, and 0 draws. Kakase is a good outboxer, making use of good jab, range manipulation, and footwork. But I still don't see how he can beat Joe Cordina. I feel like he will give tough time to Joe Cordina, as he could keep him on the outside, use his low shot guard to deflect and roll his punches, and overall maybe neutralize his inside game with good body and head movement. But I still see Joe Cordina managing to pull out a knockout, and I see it maybe in the late rounds, or maybe I'll stop pitching the late rounds, as I feel like Joe Cordina will be able to manage Anthony Kakase's defensive style. So now we move on to our co-main event between Jay Opataya, the reigning Ring Magazine champion, and Marius Breidis for the vacant IBF World Cruiserweight title. Jay Opataya is the current ring champion and former IBF Cruiserweight champion because he was unrightfully stripped by the IBF for not fighting their mandatory Marius Breidis, even though Breidis agreed to step aside so Jay Opataya could fight El Zorro. And I felt like this was due to the IBF wanting Gilberto Ramirez to fight for the title, but Ramirez went on to fight Arsene Gouliamarian for the WBA Super Cruiserweight title, stifling their plans. Now they wasted their time and now they have to enact a rematch between Jay Opataya and Marius Breidis. But anyways, little side tangents aside, let's break down the fight. Jay Opataya has 24 wins, 19 coming by way of knockout. He is a skilled fighter that makes use of in and out movement and good hand positioning to keep his opponent's guard close to their face. He makes use of effective punch combination, power punch selection, and the ability to switch from a quick fleet-footed boxer to a strong, imposing power puncher makes it hard for his opponents to beat him. In the early portions of their fight, Jay Opataya was able to draw blood early from Breidis, but throughout the fight, Breidis was able to push the pace against Opataya and even break his jaw. But Opataya pushed through adversity and being able to win a 12-round unanimous decision. but I feel like this fight wouldn't be even close. And here's my reasons why as we break down Marius Briedis. Marius Briedis is a veteran of the cruiserweight division, being a 3-time champion and according a record of 28 wins, 20 coming by way of knockout, and 2 losses. He has faced great fighters like Jay Opataya, Yunel Dorotikos, Krzysztof Glowacki, Nureyev Mikhailian, Oleksandr Usyk, Marco Huck, and others. And coming into this fight, he would have not fought in a year, but he's still a skilled in-fighting boxer, using great punch selection and pressure to control his opponents. But I feel like age is going to catch up to him and he's going to start slowing down, and Opataya would win a knockout. As Opataya was already winning their previous fight easily, but was able to get caught by Briedis' smart punch selection. But I feel like Opataya has evolved a level beyond the other cruiserweights in the division and has clearly surpassed them and making him clear the true #1 heir to this division. So I see Jay Opataya getting a knockout in the 7th round and probably retiring Briedis. So now we move on to the exciting main event between Oleksandr Usyk and Tyson Fury. Oleksandr Usyk is the unified heavyweight champion of the world, having the IBF, IBO, WBA Super and WBO titles. He has 21 wins, 14 coming by way of knockout, and has a great resume, defeating guys like Daniel Dubois, Anthony Joshua, Derek Chisora, Tony Bellew, Murat Gasayev, Marius Briedis, Marco Huck, Michael Hunter, and Krzysztof Glowacki. Oleksandr Usyk is a skilled southpaw who makes use of constant foot feints combined with hand feints to confuse and bait his opponents to follow his rhythm. He sets a high pace for the fight that makes fighters unknowingly follow his rhythm and gas out pretty quickly. Usyk has the elite footwork, making use of in and out movement and lateral movement to stay on the move, making him hard to hit. Usyk has a good jab and makes use of various feints by throwing his jab in a circular motion to confuse his opponent and keep their eyes on the jab while he lands the rear left hand. All these skills combined make him an elite fighter and nearly hard to beat. A weakness that I see is his constant use of the high guard to shift side to side makes him kind of vulnerable to the body, but nobody is able to truly capitalize it as his movement is too hard to deal with. Now we move on to Tyson Fury, who is a big and tall heavyweight with long reach and is an orthodox style, being able to switch from southpaw to orthodox, confusing his opponents and ruining their tempo. He makes it hard for his opponents to figure him out, as although being very big guy, he has surprisingly good footwork and upper body movement, making him impossible to hit. His use of dirty boxing also makes it harder for his opponents to keep their cool, while making use of his obvious weight advantage to bully his opponents and put the weight on him, or using clinches almost constantly to tire them out. His weaknesses that I've been able to see is that his mental state is obviously in question after that fight with Francis Ngannou and being embarrassed online. That card may also be a big factor in the fight, as Usyk can aim to open it up and maybe cause a stoppage in the fight, but who knows. And especially with this weight cut that he's done, a fighter can't be treating their body, constantly going through weight cuts, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, will eventually come back to pay, as your body doesn't like being abused like that. In the end, I see a highly contested bout taking place in the first few rounds, maybe even going through the 10th. It will be very competitive, but I could see some knockdowns from both parties taking place. But in my opinion, I could see Oleksandr Usyk winning a unanimous or majority decision in this fight. I see Usyk's overall skill set being able to overpower Tyson Fury's unorthodox style, and I've seen Usyk push through adversity much better than I've seen Tyson do it. As although Tyson has gotten up from the knockdowns, he's getting knocked down so often that he should be used to it by now. So that is my prediction for the Usyk versus Fury undisputed heavyweight title fight. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to try and make a boxing masterclass video or something easy to make, because I really don't have time on my hands. But I hope you guys enjoy the fight, and I'll see you guys next time, fight fans.